Welcome to the Principles of Success, bonus episode 3. And today we are going to talk about the very last principle of success. But before we do that, I want to kind of discuss how the last little bit of this season is going to go. So we're doing the last principles of success, but we're going into what I call the attributes of success. They are still principles of success, but they're also what you would generally think of as success. So for instance, finance. Finance is what you would picture as being good at finance is what you would picture as being successful. However, if you're good at finance, you can also you get more opportunities to be healthier. And that's another attribute of success. And so there still are principles, and by mastering them, you become more successful. Remember that spider web analogy. And they're also what you desire depending on what you think of as success. And the 4 attributes of success are finance, so wealth, health, relationships, and happiness. Those are my 4. Other people have different ones, but those are my 4. And so that's what we will be covering for the rest of the year. But today we are covering the final principle of success. And this one I saved for last for 2 reasons. 1, because it's the shortest one. It doesn't have that many sub-principles. And 2, because it's also kind of just wraps up the whole idea together. And the principle we're talking about today is the principle of self-mastery. It is absolutely vital and necessary for you to be a master of yourself. You have to gain control of yourself. You have to be able to do what you tell yourself to do. You have to be able to control every aspect of your life. And not have it be a massive chore. Because the nice thing about once you do master yourself is it's so much easier to maintain that momentum than it is to constantly be trying to be decent but not great. So that's the first thing. It's necessary for you to take control of your life. Because if you don't take control of your life, you're going to struggle and you won't be successful. The next thing I want to talk about is that self-mastery can't be bought. There's no gimmick, there's no trick, there's no quick fixes to being being in control of yourself. The self-mastery could also be a sub-principle of discipline. That's why it doesn't have as many sub-principles, but it is a important enough principle that it's on its own as well. So if I make discipline analogies, that's what I'm talking about with self-mastery as well. And actually, discipline could be a sub-principle of self-mastery. But I digress. So it's important to remember that self-mastery can't be bought. The only way you can get to be a master of yourself is through hard work, through discipline, and time. And you have to consistently work at it every single day to keep moving forward, to try and become closer to that perfect self that you're desiring to become. And the truth is, you will never achieve perfect self-mastery. It's the goal that is the important part. As you strive, you will become better. And when you become better, you're able to do more. And when you're able to do more, you will become more successful in whatever category that you're trying to achieve. But you need to aim for being the best. Don't just settle for being average. If you do average work, you'll get average pay. If you do what the average person does, you will have the average person's health, which is not good. The average relationship gets divorced, or the friendships fall away. The average person is not happy. So it is important to strive and aim to be the best. And the best part about aiming to be the best is that if you don't quite hit the mark, you're still going to be better than most people. And when you're better than most people, you're still going to have a whole lot of success. But just remember that it's progress that's the important part. As you progress and as you improve in this journey of self-mastery, that you'll be able to do more, and you're able to change your situations, and you'll grow and just have a more abundant life. And that's the best part about self-mastery. People think that discipline and self-mastery and doing these hard things means that you're making sacrifice. But the truth is, you are making sacrifice, but your life is going to be so much better for it. And the people who aren't making these sacrifices are going to struggle their entire lives. You're still going to struggle, but you're going to, instead of struggling with your car breaking down on the highway, you might struggle with finding a spot to park your Ferrari. Yeah, that word. You're still going to have struggles. You're going to have problems in life. But, as Tony Robbins likes to say, upgrade your problems. Have higher level problems. Worry about how to spend all of your money instead of worrying about not having enough money. Worry about what are you going to do with all this vibrant energy instead of constantly bemoaning how tired and sickly you feel. So, it's a progress, it's improvement, so keep moving forward and just remember that it's a journey and that you're not going to get there immediately. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take your entire life and you're never going to get there. But as you improve and as you progress, you'll get better and better and better. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm only going to touch on a little bit because we're going to dive more in depth on it in happiness, but it is important to master your thoughts. You don't need to just master your actions, because if you can master your thoughts, your actions will be easier to perform. And if you are in a bad state of mind, then it's going to be so much harder for you to be able to do the things that you know you want to do, you know that you need to do, but if you're not feeling like doing it, it's going to be difficult to get to do it. You need to develop that skill and do the things that you don't want to do anyway. But if you can be happier and feel motivated to do it, then that's something that you should master. And we'll talk about how to do that more in depth in a few weeks. But I think I posted videos of Tony Robbins talking about how to master your emotions in the Motivational Mondays. Do not hit your microphone. It does not work well. So you need to master your thoughts. And when you master your thoughts, your actions become easier and you're able to do more and accomplish more. And then the next thing I want to talk about is do not be a victim. Do not have a victim mindset. There is zero chance that you can be successful if you have a victim mindset. It just doesn't work. It's not possible. If you put the blame and responsibility on some other, whether it's the government, your mom, your dad, your siblings, your uncle who stole $10 from you, your bad leg, your autism, then you're going to not be able to pull yourself up. Because if the responsibility is with you and whether or not you have mastered yourself in your world, then you're able to pull yourself up. But if it's on somebody else, you're not going to do it because you're not in control. You have to be in control of your life to be able to pull yourself up, to be successful. And that's what this podcast is about, is being successful. So you cannot be a victim. You cannot entertain any victim ideologies or mindsets, because those do not work and they do not help anybody. Next thing I want to talk about is you need to be self-understanding. Just talked about being victim, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why you might not be able to do it, why you should just give up, why you shouldn't even bother, because it's going to be hard, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, and you might want to be doing this thing, but you suck at this thing, and this thing over here, you're fantastic at. So you need to understand yourself. And you need to, and there's two kind of ideologies with this. There's the offensive and the defensive is basically how I like to put it. The offensive side is get really good at the things you're good at. And the defensive side is making sure that you are not vulnerable at the things you suck at. So I'll use accounting for example, because this is a horror story I hear about business owners all the time. This guy is really good at what he does and at his business, but he hates accounting and he sucks at accounting, and he doesn't understand accounting whatsoever. So he hires an accountant, can't check the accountant's work because he doesn't know what he's doing. I think I just hit my microphone again. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. So the accountant is then able to funnel thousands or millions of dollars and bankrupt the man. There's a story I heard last week actually, where a guy was doing great. He had like 3 businesses, and the guy he hired to kind of run it for him swindled or a whole bunch of money out of the business, and he not only went bankrupt, but he had to pay off a ridiculous amount of debt. So now he works at a call center and has to make sure that the complaining customers are happy with the product that he doesn't care about. So you got to make sure that you're not vulnerable in the defense. And that used to be kind of how we viewed it. But nowadays we've shifted over to the more offensive side and become really good at what you do, at what you're already good at. Become great at what you do. And that is also extremely important, because if you're not great, if you're not the best, you're not going to get the best pay. You're not going to get the best relationships. You're not going to be super healthy and vibrant and full of energy, and able to do stuff even though you're super busy. So you have to make sure that you maximize what you're good at, but also protect what and strengthen what you're vulnerable at and suck at. For instance, autistic, supernaturally bad at social skills, like terrible, worst person you've ever seen at social skills, because that's the nature of autism. I've spent a decade working on improving my social skills to the point that people really don't see it anymore. So it's important to, if the thing that you suck at is detrimental to your success, that you get it covered. And if it's something that you're good at, you need to become the best at. So that's the ramble on being self-understanding of who you are and what you're good at and what you're not, and be willing to accept those facts. Next thing I want to talk about is change. You have to constantly be changing. You have to be willing to kill past you. I hate past me. Past me sucks. Past me was a loser who didn't have anywhere close to the level of skills that I have. Past me, at the time, I thought I was fantastic, but past me sucks. So you have to constantly be adapting, and nobody has a set personality. Like we've talked about constantly, you are what the inputs are around your life. So the people you hang out with, you become more like them. The things that you listen to, you become more like the things that you are listening to. So constantly change, constantly improve, constantly self-master yourself, so that way you become a better version of yourself. And the last thing I want to talk about is confidence / self-compassion. So we talked about how it's important to be confident. Well, generally, most people are not confident, but it is more important for your happiness and for your ability to improve that you have self-compassion on yourself. And I'm not good at this. I'm very hard on myself, but you have to be willing to go, okay, that was my growing period. I made some mistakes. This is what I learned from it, and I don't want to do that again. And if you are constantly beating yourself up about something that you did in the past, but wouldn't do today, then you are beating up an innocent person. So don't do that. Be honest, be understanding that you're not perfect and that you have improved and you've killed that version of you and become better. And when you do that, you become more confident. You can suck at a whole bunch of things, but when you know that you are progressing forward and becoming better at what you are doing, then you will be more confident and be able to master yourself, your thoughts, and your actions so much easier. Anyway, that is all for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all next week.